Hi guys, so in this video I'm going to share my most popular tips that I've posted over the past year or so. The countdown is based on responses I received from viewers, so stick around and maybe you'll learn something. Or leave a comment and tell me why these tips suck. Either way, I hope you'll watch. Hey guys, another quick tip. If you are installing hi-hats and you need to drill a hole, here's two quick tips for you. Cut a basketball in half to catch the dust. They make them if you want to just use them, but if you have an old basketball, you can just cut them. And the other thing is, when you're using a hole saw, put it in reverse. Don't put it forward, because you can catch on the drywall and it'll run on you and you could damage the ceiling. If you put it in reverse, it's less likely to grab and it'll just make a nice clean hole. Okay, so I cut that basketball probably 15 years ago. I know you can buy the plastic ones, but I'm not sure they were available 15 years ago, or at least I didn't know about them back then. This is a cheap and easy method to reuse an old ball. I will say that if you're cutting holes on a finished ceiling, you might get some marks from the rubber of the ball, but if you're doing it before you paint the ceiling, then this works great.
I have installed a lot of cabinet pulls, and I think I finally found the perfect drill bit. Let me show you what I mean. I'm sure you've experienced this before. You drill through some wood, especially if it's solid wood, and you get blowout as the bit exits the hole. Very common and very frustrating. I discovered a solution. If you take a tapered drill bit, I usually just take the bit off my countersink bit, just remove the part that makes the countersink. I find that 11/64 is a great size for 832 cabinet screws. The taper makes a small hole and expands it to a larger hole. This significantly reduces chip out, and you don't have to worry about damaging those expensive cabinets. If you look here, you can see a nice, clean, crisp hole with no blowout. It works really well.
So this tip works great if you're going through plywood or hardwood. The 11/64 measurement I was referring to is based on the assumption that you're using 832 screws for your knobs or pulls. That's a common size here in the US, but it might be different in other locations around the world. They have other tapered sizes available. Make sure you get one that's just slightly larger than the screws you're using. And yes, there are other methods to prevent chip out, but I just think this is the fastest and most effective. Got a door that closes on its own? No problem. Problem solved. And if it's really bad, just do 2 hinges. Okay, this tip was a controversial one. I didn't make this one up. I've seen other guys do it, and it works. So many people commented that I should have just removed the door and reset it. Sure, that's a perfect way to do it. But this door was already installed, and I wasn't about to rip it out if I had a 5-minute fix. This method works and is super easy for anyone to do. You don't even have to remove the door. All right, guys, got another carpentry quick tip. You know, everybody thinks you have to use roofing nails when you're installing siding. But not everybody is comfortable taking a hammer and swinging away right next to your brand new window. So here's my suggestion. If you feel more comfortable, which I do, get yourself some of these screws. These are GRK fasteners. They have a little washer head on them. They hold great to siding. Just make sure when you drive it away, you don't snug it too tight so that there's still room for expansion and contraction. Once I discovered these screws, which have a special coating to be used outside, I completely stopped using nails when installing windows and J-channel. Yes, it's a little more expensive and takes a little more time, but if I'm doing siding, it's usually to patch something like a window or a door that I just installed. I don't do full houses, so it's not really a big deal to me.
If you've ever done renovation work, I'm sure you've come across a wall that needs to be straightened. Some studs are slightly recessed, some are protruding from the wall, some are level, some are not. Then you have the knots and curves in each individual stud. Sometimes they have old framing, new framing. What do? My favorite way to straighten out a wall is to use a laser level. I'll pick 2 points on the wall that I want to be my reference points. I'll mark 2 inches away from the wall. Then once I line up the laser with those 2 marks, I go down each individual stud and compare it to my 2-inch reference. If it's off by less than 1/8 of an inch, I leave it alone. If it's more than that, then I'll shim with 1/8 inch plywood that I cut into strips. I mark each stud from top to bottom to see how many layers I need. Then I staple the strips. I find this to be a much more effective and accurate method than just using a level or straight edge against the studs, because you can accumulate error as you work your way down the wall. The laser level keeps it straight no matter how long the wall is. It's especially important for doing walls that get tile or cabinets, like this kitchen I'm working on here.
If you're still using a standard level for everything, then it's time you looked into laser levels. 90% of my leveling is done with a laser. It's so much more accurate. In this tip, I'm using it to straighten a long wall in this kitchen. There's no way I'd be able to straighten this wall with a regular 6-foot level or even an 8-foot level. This wall was around 18 feet long, and my laser could make sure that I was completely flat and plumb over the entire surface. You can try a string, but that doesn't account for plumb at the same time. This laser level method takes care of both simultaneously. Trust me, once you use a laser level, you'll never go back to standard levels for stuff like this ever. If you like this video, please make sure to hit that thumbs up. It really helps to support the channel, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment below if you have any questions about these tips, and I'd be happy to answer them. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.